More than 100 killed in a plane crash on the outskirts of Havana. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, May 18th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A Boeing 737 carrying 105 passengers, including 5 children and 9 crew members, crashed shortly after taking off from Havana's Jose Marti International Airport on an internal flight from Havana to Holguin in eastern Cuba. Now, 3 people have survived but are in critical condition, Cuban Communist Party newspaper Granma had reported. Now, the plane crashed onto a farm in the agricultural area of Boyeros, 20 kilometers, 12 miles south of Havana. International online newspaper Business Standard reports that residents of the rural area said they had seen some survivors being taken away in ambulances. Now, according to a Reuters report, a worker at Havana's Calixto Garcia Hospital told Reuters 3 victims of the accident had arrived so far. 1 died from burns and other trauma, and the other 2 were in a serious condition. Reuters is also reporting that a relative of one of the survivors said her family member was badly burnt and swollen. President Miguel Diaz-Canel, who visited the crash site, said there were many casualties. Now, he described the situation as an unfortunate aviation accident, adding that the news is not very promising. A prison riot in the northwestern Venezuelan state of Lara left 11 dead and 25 injured on Friday. 9 prisoners and 2 guards were killed in the country's second prison riot within a week. Now, the violence, which erupted on Thursday, was sparked by the inmates' displeasure with a new prison regime inside the Phoenix Community Penitentiary. The incident came a day after a Wednesday clash between inmates at the Heliculide prison complex in Caracas. No one died in that incident. Now, according to reports, some of the prisoners used firearms and subdued and killed 2 guards, and also took hostages and wounded them with sharp objects. Barbados' Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson is expected to rule on Friday in a case in which 14 Commonwealth citizens are seeking to get their names included in the voters' list ahead of the May 24th general elections. Attorneys for the Commonwealth citizens who have been resident here for more than 3 years are arguing that they should have been included following the Caribbean Court of Justice ruling last Sunday. The CCJ ruled that St. Lucian academic Eddie Ventos should be registered as a voter in Barbados. Attorneys for the 14 had written to the Chief Electoral Office, Angela Taylor, demanding that their citizens be included on the voters list in keeping with the ruling of the CCJ. Alternatively, they should be given reasons for their rejection. In their May 16th letter to Taylor, the attorneys asserted that according to the CCJ ruling that endorsed the ruling of the Barbados Chief Justice, the ABC's long-standing policy was unlawful. It added once an applicant met the criteria for registration, the ABC had an obligation to register that applicant. On Thursday, the attorneys filed an emergency suit, listing 14 clients who had applied but asking for the matter to be treated as a class action suit on behalf of all Commonwealth citizens who had applied. However, the court decided that the matter would be restricted to the 14 litigants. Up to news time, the court was still in session, but a judgment is expected sometime later this evening. Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has acknowledged that he's taken advantage of the popular support his party secured in the last general elections to make another attempt to adopt the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, as the nation's final appellate court. He tells CMC News he believes his Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party government is closer to getting the needed votes than it was last year when the referendum was abandoned. In 2016, the government launched an education campaign to encourage citizens to vote in favor of replacing London's Privy Council with the Trinidad-based CCJ. The plan was to hold a required referendum on the issue in March 2017, but without opposition support, the campaign fizzled out and the vote was postponed. In an interview with CMC News on the sidelines of the Caribbean Investment Summit underway in St. Kitts, Brown said he is more confident this time around based on the support the public expressed for his ABLP in the March 21st polls, which it won 15-1. He said his party felt the referendum was not likely to get the two-thirds majority of the vote needed for the CCJ move.
It was likely to fail. I think the opposition was a little stronger then, and they were utilizing, let's say, whatever little strength they had at the time to leverage support against the transition to the CCJ. During the last general elections, we got about 60% of the votes. So if we can get at least 6% of those who supported the opposition, assuming those who support us and their support hold, then it will be an easier target. So we believe that we are closer to the 66% at this point, or 67% for that matter. And that is why we're prepared to move forward pretty quickly within the next 120 days to have a referendum with the hope that we'll get that 67% to make the transition.
But United Progressive Party leader Harold Lovell says while he personally supports the idea of replacing the Privy Council with the JCC, his party's position remains the same, even though it would not move to block the referendum.
We feel that the CCJ issue should be placed within the whole context of constitutional reform so that there is a better and clearer understanding of the issue of the CCJ. I support the establishment and the accession to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice. So I make no bones about the fact that I will support the accession to the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ. So I'll be voting yes. But as far as the official party position is concerned, we'll allow people to vote their conscience.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has accused some foreign diplomats in the region of seeking to undermine the Citizenship by Investment programs, CIPs, that he says are essential to the survival of the countries that have them. In fact, he called those individuals mischief makers. Speaking at the opening of the 3rd Caribbean Investment Summit, which began at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort on Thursday, Brown pulled no punches as he gave those guilty of spreading misinformation a tongue lashing.
You have some in the diplomatic corps who are also mischief makers, who continue to report false information to the capitals, probably seeking promotion at the expense of the Caribbean people. And let me make it abundantly clear that this industry is not about selling passports indiscriminately, as its detractors so glibly allege. It is not about handing over our precious citizenship to the highest bidder as if it were an auctioneer's market. But these are some of the things that have been said by certain diplomats operating in this region to the capitals. And you know the consequences of that type of misinformation. You know the consequences of de-risking and even threats of sanctions on information that is untrue. Fake news.
Brown did not spare opposition politicians in the region either, as he said they also contributed to the problem. And he called for an end to partisanship and for politicians on all sides of the fence to do their part to protect these vital CIPs.
We must resist all of the efforts to undermine our respective programs, because the sustainability of CIP programs to the continued advancement of our respective countries. If there's no sustainability, then our countries, all of us that have CIP programs, will end up with fiscal crisis, with unemployment and poverty. We would not be able to achieve our Millennium Development Goals or Sustainable Development Goals. So we have to protect our programs.
Meantime, host Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris has urged fellow heads of government of jurisdictions that offer CIPs and other key players within the industry to raise the standards of citizenship programs. Delivering the keynote address at the conference, he said there must be greater emphasis on harmonization.
We need to standardize our management frameworks and also consolidate best practices and lessons learned in due diligence and oversight. Anti-money laundering and countering financing of terrorism, training and capacity building of our staff, as well as the supervision of industry stakeholders, such as real estate developers and service providers. We have to ensure that we hold everyone accountable. Those who are developing must bring quality development to the fore, and they must add to the reputational profile of our countries participating in the program.
Harris agreed with Prime Minister Brown that the CIP will continue to be a pathway to growth and a better quality of life for people in the region, including those who don't have the economic citizenship programs.
Those who have so far opted out of the program benefit from the successes that this CBI program has brought to the region. The inflows of foreign exchange that back our EC dollar that gives us one of the strongest currencies in the world is due in a large measure to the success of this particular program.
After the break, St. Kitts Prime Minister announces a major stimulus for the Twin Island Federation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
Follow your heart to the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27th to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Sifa Logi, Small Axe Band, Nyla Blackman, and Betty Watt. Also, Patti LaBelle, Dijon, New Vibes International, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wayne Wonder. Spice, August Alsina, Aishona, Byron Messiah, Dasha, Shaka Dimas, and Flyers, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris has announced a stimulus for the country that he says has been made possible by anticipated revenue from the country's Citizenship by Investment program and his government's sound management of the economy. The stimulus will include a $30 million EC dollar housing program for government workers, as well as assistance for businesses, farmers, and fisherfolk. Now, half of the money for the housing program, $15 million EC dollars, will be made available on June 1st for loans to government employees to either purchase homes or renovating existing residences at an interest rate of around 5%, which Harris said is the lowest in the Twin Island Federation.
The aim is to facilitate property ownership in the country and the upgrading of homes for up to a maximum of $300,000. Beyond this amount, The excess will be negotiated on the bank's applicable terms. Details of the program will be made available at a media event next week. This program will have a beneficial multiplier effect on our economy, more jobs, higher earnings, and indeed it should stimulate growth in the construction sector.
Harris also announced that his government will put $2 million in an agricultural fund to assist farmers and fishers. The Prime Minister further revealed that the Caribbean Development Bank has approved $8 million EC dollars of support for small businesses.
The ravages of Hurricane Maria last year reminded us that we are still very vulnerable as it relates to food security. We want to assist our farmers, particularly in the application of science and technology to food production in our country. Like our government employees' housing program, this agricultural fund will be ready from 1st June.
The Bahamas and St. Kitts and Nevis are expected to be removed from the European Union list of tax havens next week when EU finance ministers meet in Brussels. Nassau and Bastille were included on the list of tax havens in March after the EU decided their tax rules and practices were not in line with EU standards. It followed a similar decision taken against Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia and Trinidad and Tobago in December. Barbados, Grenada and St. Lucia have since been removed, but Trinidad and Tobago remains. According to EU documents, the two countries have committed to changes and they will be moved to a grey list of jurisdictions with low tax transparency standards. The Deputy Prime Minister of Belize, Patrick Faber, has confirmed that he was detained for about 3 hours last month while visiting his son's school in the U.S. He said police thought he fitted the description of a man who was about to launch a gun attack on a school. Faber told Channel 5 News the incident occurred on April 20 in Henry County.
I had called the schools to say that I would be visiting, and I was welcomed by the principal to say, you are able to come in. I wanted to check on their progress, and I wanted to ensure that the school was aware that I'm very much interested in their well-being, in their learning environment there, and so on. So I made those arrangements, and upon arriving at the school on the day that was scheduled, I was greeted by the police. And I was held to gunpoint and arrested, and I was detained for about 3 hours. I later learned that there was a 911 call made to the police claiming that I was going to the school to shoot. What? And in fact, that I was a threat. According to the Henry County Sheriff's Office, they said that I was described by name and by features. And so naturally, I cannot blame the police for doing what they did.
Commercial bank customers in 2 Eastern Caribbean countries will, in a matter of days, be able to send and receive EC currency same day between banks in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the ECCU. Deputy Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Trevor Brathwaite, says the ECCU electronic funds transfer system will be piloted in Antigua and Barbuda and St. Kitts and Nevis on May 22nd. That's next Tuesday. Now, he says other Eastern Caribbean countries may follow soon after as the ECCB seeks to ensure that the currency union keeps pace with global trends and international standards.
And then if the pilot is successful, we will roll out in middle of June to the other territories. So we are enhancing the payment system. As you know, checks are now processed on a payment platform. And so we are going to be doing that electronically. In Aruba, for instance, checks are no longer accepted as the preferred way of making payments. Everything is electronic. Do we go that way? We'll see. But at least the platform has been built and it's been tested come the 22nd of May.
Coming up, Sasha Gay Henry speaks out on her departure from the Sunshine Girls. Stay with us. Sport is next.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
The Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around the time. 44 gives me hair. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. But all night, no time to sleep. Emancipate with we. Best food and folklore. Culture around the 44. Best food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Best food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Best food and folklore. Culture around the 44.
It starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
Sasha Gay Henry has rejected media reports she quit as Sunshine Girls head coach because of dissatisfaction with Netball Jamaica over money. Now, according to her, quote, contrary to media reports, she said, "I wish to indicate that my decision was not based on remuneration pay for the job. There were 2 bases. One was related to the personal needs of my family, which I regard as a priority at this time. The other related to my increasing concerns about continuing professional weaknesses in the administration of the sport," end quote. Henry did not elaborate on what those professional weaknesses were. Henry quit the post nearly a week ago, just a month after combining with fellow coach Marvin Anderson to help to guide Jamaica to bronze at the Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia. It was then speculated that the 38-year-old had left because of displeasure over compensation from Netball Jamaica. The local governing body has since met to determine the way forward in light of Henry's resignation and are expected to issue a statement soon. Now, Henry, who also won Commonwealth Games bronze as a player 4 years ago, was named coach of the side along with Anderson following the brief but ill-fated tenure of Jermaine Allison McCracken. Meanwhile, the Sunshine Girls will be receiving the coveted Tanny Jameson Trophy sometime soon. Now, that's according to President of Netball Jamaica, Dr. Paula Daly Morris, who made the comment more than a month after the national team left New Zealand without the trophy after winning the tournament. In this report from TVJ's Trishana McGowan, the netball boss explains why Jamaica returning home empty-handed is not an issue.
The Sunshine Girls beat the Silver Ferns 59-53 in the final, but left empty-handed, having had to settle for pictures with the trophy instead of departing with the actual trophy. During the tournament, the Jamaicans were told that the original Tanny Jameson trophy would not leave the host nation, but instead a replica would be provided at a later date. Speaking with TVJ Sports via phone on Thursday, Netball Jamaica President Dr. Paula Daly Morris said there was an arrangement in principle with Netball New Zealand regarding the tournament.
It wasn't an issue, and we basically appealed to, from the beginning, appealed to Netball New Zealand to provide a replica. They have commissioned a replica, and it is on its way to Jamaica, so the matter is resolved.
Dr. Daly Morris added that the local governing body had no problem with the stance taken by its New Zealand counterpart.
Well, we always knew it was a perpetual trophy. Come on, the Ashes Cup has never gone anywhere. It stays in England. That's the cricket one, right? So it's the same thing, same principle. We never had an issue with the concept of having a perpetual trophy. We are accustomed to that. In fact, when you win the World Champs, you don't get the trophy to carry home. It remains the property of the INF. So in those regards, we understood the principle.
Meanwhile, when contacted by TVJ Sports, President of the International Netball Federation, Jamaican Molly Roan, said the quad series was arranged between Netball Jamaica and Netball New Zealand, adding the INF would not have gone involved with the tournament except to provide umpires. Roan added that the matter is now closed between countries and that it would be inappropriate for the world governing body to reopen a dialogue on the subject. Former national football player Ali McNabb, who is advisor to Minister of Sport, said he was personally unaware of the matter and asked for more time to make some inquiries. Meanwhile, Jamaica's honorary consul to New Zealand, Don Webby, said he was in New York on business and could not shed any light on the situation at this time. Netball New Zealand will stand the cost of transporting the replica trophy, which is expected to reach Netball Jamaica within the next 2 weeks.
That's the sport. We'll be right back.
It starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
The Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around my time. 44 gives me hair. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. The all night, no time for sleep. Emancipate with me. Black food and folklore. Culture around the 44. Black food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Black food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Black food and folklore. Culture around the 44.
Again, the major developments of this day: more than 100 people killed in a plane crash on the outskirts of Havana. And in sports, Shasha Gay Henry speaks out of her departure from the Sunshine Girls. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Tuesday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.